So in today's video, I wanted to talk about why Bitcoin and also MSTR is a winner-take-all game. It's not a winner-take-some game. It's not a winner-take-most game. It is truly a winner-take-all game. And so what I mean by this is, so first of all, let's take a look at this chart. I'm always going to show this chart because I think it's one of the most important things to kind of understand Bitcoin and its role in capital markets, which is just the global asset map. So this shows the total capital assets and the different markets within the world. And today we're at about $1,000 trillion worth of estimated global wealth in all of these different markets. And so what I mean by a winner takes all game is that in any of these markets, right, especially like the bond market, right, if there's a bond that has 1% greater returns than every other bond in the market, and it can be serviced to all the people that want to buy that bond, then it will be a winner take all game. Like 100% of people will switch to this new bond because there's no reason to hold a bond that delivers greater returns, right? Even if it's 1% greater returns, everyone will buy that new bond for 1% greater returns, because if you're a financial advisor or a hedge fund and you're delivering your clients less than optimal returns, then you will be fired, right? You won't keep your job. So within this $1,000 trillion, $1 quadrillion global total market, Michael Saylor estimates that half of this, like half of all of these assets, are simply just looking for the best long-term store of value, right? So again, if one asset proves that it's the best long-term store of value, it's going to be a winner-take-all game. No one will park their wealth in something that delivers suboptimal returns. So people won't realize it yet, but Bitcoin is the superior store of value asset. But what strategy is doing, what MSTR is doing, is they are bridging the gap between Bitcoin maximalists and traditional finance people. And he's doing that by, with his company, he's creating financial instruments that directly compete in all of these markets with the strength of Strategy's balance sheet, right? People say like, oh, they're leveraged, they're a leveraged play on Bitcoin. But if you actually look at their balance sheet, their assets to liabilities, their liabilities are a small fraction. Like they're actually very under leveraged. If you look at the ratio of their liabilities, their debt compared to their assets, their Bitcoin. So what that allows them to do is that gives them extremely viable optionality, and they're able to issue these financial products that are backed by the health of their company's balance sheet. They're able to deliver financial instruments that directly compete in these markets. For example, their newest offering, STRC or Stretch, is a direct competitor to money market funds. This $100 trillion block right here, which is just the money markets, they are directly competing with that. And if they're able to deliver a better return, because simply put, they have a giant moat. They have a giant moat of capital in terms of Bitcoin between them and the next biggest company. Like, people are underestimating how much financial power you have from having 480,000 Bitcoin on your balance sheet when the next biggest company is, like 10% of that. So this allows them to issue these financial products that are backed by the strength of their company. And they're able to compete with things like money market funds. And if enough people catch on and they are able to deliver a product that beats out money market funds, that beats out US Treasuries, because Strategy has a better credit rating, they're more trustworthy than the US government simply because of how much capital they have at their disposal, then they will be able to compete. And eventually, right, if they're able to service the demand, it's a winner take all game. No one will keep their capital in money market funds if you can just keep your money in Stretch and beat those returns. It's all enabled by the power of Bitcoin on a company's balance sheet, the power of having an appreciating asset with no maintenance. Like, it just sits there on their balance sheet and gives them more capital, right? Saylor was talking about this in an interview, and how like this completely breaks like any traditional financial model, because the more capital they're able to raise, the more capital they're able to raise. The more capital they're able to raise, the more Bitcoin they're able to buy. And then the more Bitcoin they're able to buy, the more capital they're able to raise. And then the more Bitcoin they're able to buy. And they're able to continue to issue these competitive financial instruments, right? And then they keep creating these instruments to directly compete in these giant pools of capital. So I think that's what people are missing. Like, this is truly bridging the gap, and it's giving people Bitcoin exposure, right? Even if it's diluted Bitcoin exposure, like they're not directly buying Bitcoin, it's still better than no Bitcoin exposure for these people. And that small amount of Bitcoin exposure, right, is able to enable these products to be issued, because you're capitalizing your company on the strongest money ever created, and you're issuing financial products that are US dollar denominated and provide US dollar returns. So it's just this giant reflexive flywheel, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it myself. Like, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of my understanding, but my goal here is just to learn about it myself, and then, share with my audience what I learn along the way to hopefully, at least be a couple steps ahead of the people that I want to help educate. So I think that's the best we can do. Like the True North crew says, the MSTR True North podcast, this is the biggest story in finance. And I firmly believe that. It's just crazy what they're able to do. And like I said, it's going to be a winner take all game. And they have all these other financial products like Strife, which is directly competing with the bond market. So they're basically, like with this image, they're basically siphoning capital. They're creating this giant pump to pump capital from this $300 trillion bond market into the company's balance sheet, which in turn pumps it into Bitcoin. And then it's just it just keeps going. Like, yeah, there's no stopping this train. And just the capital markets in general are vastly underestimating the power of Bitcoin as collateral for companies and for any institution. They don't recognize that Bitcoin is collateral, that Bitcoin is financial power from now into the future. And Strategy has capitalized on that. Other companies are following in their footsteps, but Strategy has such a big moat, such a big head start, that they are going to be able to compete in these markets and keep pumping capital from these dead financial markets into Bitcoin. And like I said, you don't have to own Strategy, but just by owning Bitcoin, you benefit from this. So it's all good news for Bitcoin. Just hold Bitcoin. That's the best thing you can do. If you want to get some Bitcoin for yourself, my personal recommendation is River. I'll leave a link down below. We'll both get some free Bitcoin if you make a purchase. And yeah, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you guys for all the support. And as always, together, let's work, save, and build a brighter future with Bitcoin. See you in the next video.